The first words out of my wife's mouth when I confronted her weren't an apology. They were an excuse. That picture? It's AI. I stood in the middle of our kitchen, phone in hand, the photo glowing on the screen, staring at her like she'd suddenly grown another face. Her stance was cocky, hands on her hips, chin slightly lifted, eyes daring me to challenge her. "Mark," she drawled, slow and patronizing, like I was a child who needed correcting. "Do you seriously think I'd be dumb enough to get caught like that? It's fake. Deep fakes are everywhere now." I wanted so badly to believe her. God knows I did. Emma and I had been married 5 years. We met back in college, me, the quiet guy always behind a camera, her, the witty, magnetic girl who could light up any room she walked into. She used to tell me she loved the way I noticed things no one else did. That's what pulled her toward me. Our life had been good until about 6 months ago. She grew distant, always coming home late, glued to her phone with the screen angled away from me. I kept telling myself it was just work stress. But then my friend sent me a photo he'd taken at a bar. Emma, arms wrapped around some guy I'd never seen, her face tilted toward his, lips a breath apart. My stomach dropped. When I finally showed her the picture, I braced myself for tears, apologies, something. Instead, she smirked and gave me a lecture about AI trickery. "Emma," I said, my voice tight, "that's a real picture. I recognize the bar. I recognize that dress. You wore it 2 weeks ago." She rolled her eyes. "Coincidence. Someone's trying to mess with you. Honestly, Mark, you read too many conspiracy theories." The gaslighting hit harder than the image itself. She wasn't even denying it. She was rewriting reality. And in that instant, something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to yell. I was going to do what I've always done best. Find the truth and let the evidence speak louder than her lies. That night, I barely slept. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw her in that photo, hand on his cheek, smiling in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. My gut twisted, but my focus sharpened. If she wanted to blame AI, I'd prove otherwise. The next morning, I drove straight to the bar. I waited until it opened, then asked around. The bartender, an older man with sharp eyes, recognized her instantly. "Yeah, she was here last Friday," he said with a shrug. "Blonde hair, green dress. She and that guy were pretty close. Didn't exactly hide it." Then he let me scroll through their security footage. My hands trembled as I recorded the clips on my phone. There she was, Emma, holding hands across the table, sliding into the booth beside him, resting her head on his shoulder. And finally, the kiss. I drove home in silence. When I walked in, Emma was right where I'd left her, sipping coffee, scrolling her phone, pretending like nothing was wrong. "Hey," she said brightly, fake sweetness dripping from her voice. "Done with this whole fake photo drama?" Without a word, I placed my phone on the counter and pressed play. Her smile cracked. "Where did you get that?" Her voice sharpened. "From the bar where you spent Friday night," I said evenly. "The staff confirmed it too, so you can drop the act." For a moment, she just stared at me, then at the screen. And then she laughed, actually laughed. "So what?" she sneered, tossing her hair back. "Want a medal for playing detective? People kiss. It doesn't mean anything." Heat burned in my chest. It meant enough for you to lie. Enough to call me paranoid. Enough to make me question my sanity in my own home. She shrugged, unbothered. "Maybe if you weren't so boring, I wouldn't have needed a little excitement." Her words landed like a punch. In that moment, my hurt turned cold, sharp. If she wanted to humiliate me, I'd return the favor, with facts, not games. That same evening, I sent the footage to her parents, her closest friends, even her boss. Within an hour, the fallout began. Her mother called, furious, demanding an explanation. Her best friend texted me, saying she'd suspected something all along. Even her boss replied with a curt, "We'll deal with this internally." Emma stormed into the living room, face flushed with rage. "You had no right," she screamed, slamming her phone onto the table. "You destroyed my reputation." I stood, calmer than I'd been in months. "No, Emma, You destroyed your reputation. I just made sure people saw the truth. She glared at me like I had betrayed her. Do you know how humiliating this is? I almost laughed. Do you know how humiliating it was for me, sleeping beside you every night, thinking I was insane for suspecting the truth? Do you know what it's like to be gaslit in your own marriage? For the first time, her bravado cracked. She sank onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. I didn't think it would go this far, she whispered. It was just supposed to be a little fun. Fun. My voice was low, steady. Cheating on me was fun? Making me question my sanity was fun. There was nothing left to say after that. That night, I packed a bag. As I zipped it shut, Emma's eyes glistened. You're really leaving? I'm done begging for honesty, I said quietly. I deserve someone who doesn't treat me like a fool. And I walked out. I didn't look back. The weeks that followed felt lighter than any time in years. The footage had spread enough that no one doubted my side anymore. Friends who once brushed off my concerns reached out with apologies. As for Emma, word got around she'd moved in with a guy from the bar. Not many people stuck by her. I didn't care. For the first time in a long time, I could breathe, and standing alone in my new apartment one quiet night, I realized something. Sometimes the truth doesn't just free you. Sometimes it saves you.